Hello, hello, David.
Oh, that's right. That's not going to work, is it? Let's see. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, get on
Sound
camera.
Oh, I'm not on camera yet. You sure? I okay, man. Like, am I like on now? And is like the microphone worky thingy? You know, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be working. He said so. Sound check, video check. Hello, David.
Yeah, can anybody hear anything at all?
Can anybody hear? It's interesting how long it takes in terms of delay.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder how much of that is kind of inherent in this.
I have no.
When you're not doing anything on your smartass phone, what we could do is you could be log on there and then I move my hand or something and you can see how long it takes to show up in your thingy.
I've watched it. Got in 10 seconds.
Well, David should have said something by now. Why not look at you? What am I supposed to look at? Look at the screen. Nothing's happening in the screen. I can't read that one over there that says how many people are watching or nothing.
Nothing is on that yet. Nothing, zero, zip, nada. Okay?
We got zero, so I guess David just logged on to say hi.
I don't know what else to tell you. There's nothing. And
Well, that would explain why he hadn't
it now
responded.
says views 1.
Aha.
Now, we need to know what's going on.
Okay. I just saw your thing come on the screen. Tell me how long it took from the time I said that to the time you heard me say that. You know, when you hit enter to the time you heard me mention it. Because there's such a lag here, and I'm just wondering what's the...
Yeah, we're trying to find out how long the delay is.
When you type in the next thing, as soon as I see it, now I just saw it.
Dirt Diggers Unite. Hello, Sarah.
Oh, good. You're here, Sarah. I have some results from your rock sample. Now, because you sent me a whole bunch of little rocks, which is not really the way I'm set up, I took all of your rocks that you sent me and crushed them all up together and blendified them. Because that gave me enough to actually pan. And yeah, you got gold in there. About a quarter of an ounce to the ton is what I would estimate. Did you have that?
Hi, John.
You have that photograph in there? You do, don't you? Did you ever email me that photograph?
I don't think I.
Okay. Well,
I'll email it in a second.
When Eva gets around to it, she's in the middle of something. She will email it to that computer, and then she can show it so that you can see exactly what the pan results look like.
David says you didn't say you would kill them.
Kill what?
The rocks, I'm assuming.
Well,
Sarah says, woo, doing a super happy dance.
good.
Yeah, hi, John.
That's not exceptional grade, but you ain't going to find that very often if you're just randomly getting mineralized stuff. Okay? That is a very interesting result. Okay? From there, you have to take larger samples.
Hello, Shane. You need to say hi to everybody.
Hello, Shane. I used to take them down to the assay lab to get them assayed, and then when they were done, I would take back the what they call the rejects, where they'd already crushed it up, which made my life a much easier.
Yeah, it's petricide, David. The word is petricide.
Wow. We're probably demonetized now.
Well, I mean...
Oh, that's right. We're not monetized in the first place.
You have committed arboricide before.
Yeah. Oh, very much, Sarah. I would get larger samples of the different rock types and pulverize and pan.
Hello, Mr. Virtue.
Have you tried using my panning technique for microfine gold? And if so, how did it work out for you? Whatever.
John says, yeah, it's worth more investigation.
Absolutely.
For sure.
John is absolutely correct. A quarter ounce to the ton. And one can assume, since there was, what would you say, Sarah? 10 or 12 different rock types in here? Presumably, they didn't all average the same thing. So it would not be odd if half the rocks were a half an ounce to the ton and half of the rocks were crap or some kind of ratio thereof. So now you have to find out which rocks have the most gold. Okay. It's not that hard, Sarah, but you got to get the technique. It's one of those things, once you learn it, I don't know if you've ever done any music, but it's kind of like when you're like playing a trumpet, a brass instrument, when you shift up the octave on the it kind of happens automatically. After a while, you're good at it. But yeah, kind of not so much. As I recall, you don't live anywhere near us, so coming over here for some lessons probably isn't that great an idea. However, it's very easy to take some fine material and just take some lead shavings, just take a fishing weight and shave some fairly fine lead shavings and stuff, and then pan those. And that'll give you something to work with. What can I tell you about silver found in a quartz vein? Well, okay, then you understand, Sarah. Once you get it, you pretty much got it. Practice a little bit. It's real easy. Well, are you sure it's actual silver P, or is it a silver mineral?
Is it a white metal?
White mineral. Is it white and shiny and stuff?
Jane says the hang wall 9%
I would be willing to bet you.
Sarah
Shane,
says she's
depends on where you're
relocating to Illinois.
Well, if you're relocating and you're driving in the Helena area, you can swing by and we'll spend an afternoon panning. How's that? So, I hope it's rural Illinois, Sarah. So Eva's going to see about getting that picture of the pan. We took a picture of the gold in the pan. There's other heavy minerals there, which are not terribly ideal.
P-Man says white and shiny.
There's lots of different minerals that can do that. Okay? If the chunks are big enough, a simple test is to just take a pair of pliers, grab it and squeeze it. Okay? Now, if it is silver, or in some cases,
they're not seeing.
Or if you're, in some cases, galena is soft enough. But if it squishes, it's probably either galena or silver, depending on how hard it is to get it to squish. Silver's harder than malleable galena. Okay? If it crushes and turns into, if it's brittle, basically, then what you can do is assume it's a sulfide. You've got various, like arsenopyrite is nice and shiny and silver colored, stuff like that. But it's a really good indication you've got some kind of metallic mineral there, without further investigation determining what mineral. is a totally different question. Could be electrum. It could be arsenopyrite just by itself. It could be arsenopyrite with gold, lots of gold. I think there's some gold telluride compounds. I think they're generally a little bit yellowish. But there's a number of uh, metallic minerals and sulfides that can give that thing. It's the first thing, just try and squish it if you got big enough pieces. That comes in handy. If it's malleable, it's either lead or electrum or silver. Silver itself is unusual because it's too reactive. Electrum, if it's nice and bright and shiny and silver, and it's not a sulfide, it'd be more likely to be electrum than it would be silver. Silver itself is, it tarnishes. So native silver is not that common. It does happen. It's not impossible.
Quite frequently does not look pretty bright and white either.
Yeah.
Well, native silver is brown.
If you crush it, some of the pieces are going to be clean from crushing and everything.
Yeah, but actual native silver, I've seen more than enough pictures of it when it's in vein. A lot of times it's black.
Oh yeah, because it's silver oxide. According to Lauren over there at Montana Tunnels, they found a deposit of silver chloride. Okay. So what they did was they took the stuff and they just spread it out in a thin layer in the sun for a year, and that reduces it to metallic silver from reaction with the sunlight, and then they just process through the mill. Yes, electrum is malleable also. You're correct. Yeah, there can be a lot of reasons for that, but arsenopyrite would, again, you're probably got some kind of a heavy metal sulfide or a combination. A lot of the times, you'll have, galena, and it's got a bunch of silver in it and some tin also. That's why they call them polymetallic ore bodies. You get a lot of different things. And so I say that would take either a skilled mineralogist or some analytical work. Hey, honey bunny, to figure it out. But it shouldn't be terribly challenging.
Yeah, pyrite crumbles all right. Some of the ore samples, don't know if you notice, have bronze.
The ones that I saw look more like a, what do you call that? Kind of a sheen. And that has to do with the surface of the minerals oxidizing a bit and such. It's common in certain sulfides like chalcopyrite and stuff. You can get what they call peacock ore and things like that. Okay, Shane says little black wires of silver could be. Now, Eva's calling up the...
I'm not putting them where y'all can see them.
That one's good right there, little one. Okay. Let me know when they can see them.
Honey Bunny says, got done packing shredded cabbage, ferment in the basement for hot bath, keep kraut. We're about to make some fresh kraut that's going to be kept refrigerated the entire time. No canning at all because I want to keep probiotics.
Yeah.
But at any rate, this is Sarah's ore here.
This is the panned results of Sarah's ore. Those are fairly large particles for hard rock, so you can see individual particles without magnification.
Yeah, the colors look a little weird, but there are some pyrites in it.
Yeah.
But there's also some gold.
The pyrites, not in the spot where I'm pointing to. Go ahead and go back to the previous one, Lil. I said that one is good enough. There's a reason I said that. That shows all we need to show. above and to the right of my finger, that's where the pyrites are. In these, well, that's. I think there's a couple
Yeah,
chunks of bigger gold right there, just above the hand.
In there, yeah.
Yeah, put it right down in here. This is what I mean by the pyrite. This is the area I think is mostly the pyrites. This area up here is pyrites and the larger gold. And then this is almost all gold there. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. I just whacked the camera here. So let's see. When we come back, Eva will have to recalibrate. We'll have to adjust the camera again.
Okay, so you're done showing off.
So anyhow, that is 1 kilogram roughly of your ore, Sarah, panned down, crushed, and not finely pulverized. Okay, I ran it through the RC46 rolls twice. So it's not super.
Vertical. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got to get this back on the.
You're going to get back on the whiteboard view.
Yeah, I was happy to see that those copper samples too. I just got to check on.
Okay, so here she's readjusting because when I was pointing to the screen, I hit the camera. Now we got the whiteboard view. Click back to my beautiful face.
Yeah.
So
that was some good looking copper. They're very flashy stuff, but we've only seen it. Those were the most pieces I have grabbed anywhere in the area.
So anyhow, I would say definitely bears further investigation, Sarah. And well, that's what you got. If you got something like that, that's a significant result, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty little result. The amount of material.
Yeah.
Especially since it was just
The panning technique is surprisingly sensitive.
Well, funny enough, honey, we haven't seen any copper to speak of anywhere up there, and all the historic records, none of them discussed copper in any great amount.
Well, and the area where I was able to dig through the flip face of soils into the bedrock there next to that shaft, I didn't see any copper staining there at all.
You found that one rock. Yeah.
That was in the slough. I'd call that float.
Yeah, that was float.
I would not.
Yeah, it was nothing like a place boring where the old ground goes.
Yeah, he did some nice landscaping with big, pretty boulders. That was kind of nice. So, anyhow, Sarah, those are your results. Pretty interesting. Yeah, it looks like gold to me. There's two things. First of all, when you look at the shapes, to my eyes, they look malleable. Okay, they've got points and stuff like that, which don't usually happen with sulfides. Sulfides look like broken glass in terms of shapes if they're not like little cubes or something. The other thing is the way it behaves. When you've done it a lot, you'll sit there and you do that and you say, yeah, that's the gold right there, because it's all just sitting right there. It's not blended in with it. It's like a little bit separate from everything else. And that's because it's a lot denser than everything else. And therefore it behaves significantly different. And so, yes, as Honey Bunny says, you can also roast your sample. And if it's a sulfide, it will oxidize. Okay, and it will change.
Well, I'll
Gold
tell you,
will
honey, I'm of the same opinion as you. That said, when it comes to copper up there, none of the historic records that we have access to say a dang thing about base metals in general.
Yeah, the big mine did.
Yeah, the big mine did, but they didn't talk about copper. They talked about lead. Tin.
Was it tin or zinc? I forget.
I think it was zinc.
But anyhow, yeah, and there was a lot of silver in the
Yeah.
higher lead ores.
And
Yes.
none of the waste dumps we've seen anywhere have.
Yeah, copper's quite unusual in that area
The
from
two
our
other
experience.
pieces I found. Piece
Mhm.
number one was on that waste dump that was halfway down that hill. And then piece number two was on the center dump of those vertical three.
Okay. By the way, folks, we may be in for an interesting night. I do not know. I am waiting for the gentleman from Central America to call. I don't know if they're going to call in the middle of this, but if they are, there's a good chance you'll be able to just kind of sit and watch while I discuss the details down there. Okay? They finally got a series of samples assayed, and the assays they clearly show you're not getting a super good recovery in the way you would expect. Exactly why that is, that's a different story. The samples were fairly consistent in the grades.
Well, I don't disagree, honey, but like I said, we've seen none, as in zero, and I have looked over big dump. I have a total of the samples we found this past weekend. One rock he found, one big rock I found that I busticated up to put in the bag, and two other rocks that were found on dumps that were smaller than my fist. So
Okay.
I don't think it's possible to make it all disappear.
Yeah. And there was geologists looking at it over years. It's not mentioned. It's fairly well described. Anyhow, so the results that they got were ambiguous. They weren't real exciting in terms of their recovery percentage, but we have a potential complicating factor in that the last ore before this run they did was fairly high grade material. And then they did this run, which I have the results from, which was about 1/5 the grade. Now, the ball mill and the spiral classifier, which is being used basically just as a coarse, oversized recycling conveyor right now, were, they have a significant amount of rock in them at all times. They don't get clean unless you go to a great deal of effort. The spiral classifier, i.e. the sand screw, they say they can clean that out in about 45 minutes. They've never cleaned out the ball mill. Okay? It's pretty labor intensive and time consuming. Therefore, a likely scenario that would explain these results is that when they first started feeding the material, they're sampling the head grade immediately. What?
There's a whole conversation here that's your attention.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
They're conversating. Okay? Okay?
Yeah, roasting is the fastest and cheapest. Hydrogen peroxide, you'd want something stronger than the kind you get in the drugstore, the kind you get in your beauty supply store. But it's very expensive. Roasting is by far the
Take a little bit, put it in a stainless steel spoon, hold it over a propane torch. If it's sulfides, you'll know real quick. Just don't breathe the fumes. Could have arsenic, mercury, things like that. Bad juju. Okay? Make sure to do it in a breeze and stay upwind. Anyhow, so if they were doing 5 times the grade beforehand, hey Brian, and then they switched to a low grade ore, for a certain period of time, the process is going to be grinding out the residual load of the higher grade stuff and slowly transitioning to what you might call the steady state parameters of the new material.
Wasn't that why they were supposed to be running samples?
Well, it's a totally different situation. They have a head grade sample. That's no problem. Thing is, if you got 3 tons in circuit, your cross contamination gets pretty ridiculous. Okay? If you got a ball mill as big as theirs, it might have 1 or 2 tons in it along with the spiral classifier. So it's going to take a couple hours of operation before you've pretty much cleaned that out. So
yeah, so basically you want to take head sample stuff going into whenever, but then wait multiple hours to get the coming out the other end.
You're going to take cumulative samples over time of everything, but from the product stuff, you're going to want to wait probably an hour or two before you start taking those samples and then take them continuously thereafter. Okay? And therefore, these numbers don't seem to make a lot of sense because some of the secondary numbers, things further down process, are actually higher than the head grade. Now, another possibility is that the head grade sample was unrepresentative, or the 30 grams that the assay lab actually processed was unrepresentative. Hard to tell. But and I can't give you actual numbers here, but the head grade is like X, okay? And your, some of this stuff I got a Toledo Molino Canal. I think that's coming out of the mill. It's about 1.3x. Okay. So how did it gain 30%? Okay. And then the tailings themselves are showing about the same grade. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense. The concentrates themselves don't look real high grade. Okay. Which, is not surprising considering the grade they're feeding it, but it's still kind of surprisingly low. The initial calculations indicate maybe 25% recovery, which is not desirable. And we made this form. I'm getting back so you can't really read it. Basically, you fill in the blanks, perform the required, the indicated operations, and you get some numbers. With any luck, they're going to call me later this evening while you guys are still watching, and I'll be getting stuff from them and discussing what's happening to the best of my ability.
Just as an FYI and an aside here, I am getting all my forms put together as both forms and Excel sheets in a book for
Brian.
people that want them. That's
what they're doing right now. They're gravity separating the hard rock. Other process flows indicate 40-50% recovery. I understand, Honey Bunny. Unfortunately, that's the equipment they have right now. So, got to deal with what they got and then work on it later. Now, I have the chemicals I need now to start thiosulfate testing.
Yeah, documentation is definitely king in getting people to actually record.
It's completely indeterminate, P-Man. I've been hundreds of feet below surface on big ore bodies and still never seen visible gold. Okay, hi Red Wing. It's just indeterminate. It varies from place to place.
One of the reasons that visible mineral gold is in gold in matrix is so dang valuable is because there is not much of it.
Yeah, at least not that you can see easily with the naked eye. So anyhow, I say if they call up, I will double check with them, but I might have that interesting little conversation while you guys watch if that sounds cool to you. We have some things to discuss, and they should have more information, specifically the weights of various samples, and I've also got to double check and make sure I know what some of these things are because it's in Spanish.
Yeah, weighing is just
You know,
weighing and documentation is critical. Testing, and keeping good records of it.
yep. So anyhow, that's the thing. Now let's see. While everyone's here, somebody probably knows. Still got a plugged passage somewhere in the carburetor on the minor Bago, and I have an Edelbrock Quadrajet. Now, if I was to take, get a kit, so I got the gasket stuff, and just take the top of the carburetor off and blow down through the jets, theoretically, I should likely blow the object or whatever back into the float bowl where I could see it. Am I correct? So, because looking around, getting it could be, honey bunny.
How does one get a mining claim in the Northeast? Well,
It's got to be public land open to mineral exploration, which is fairly rare over there.
yeah, it's very rare over there.
If it's private land with mineral rights, you would have to sign a lease or some kind of an agreement with the owner.
Honey says, yeah, Edelbrock, you can backblow some.
Yeah. I'm
And
not sure.
T-Man says, depends on what's stuck in the fuel flow test.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the operative question.
But I mean, it should come back out into the float bowl, which is visible with the top of the carburetor off, correct? And okay, because $500 for a carburetor kind of sucks the big one, you know. And
Why I like Holly.
doesn't matter if it was a stuck Holly, you'd have the same problem. By the way, that Suburban we used to drive the old, 85. It had a Holly on it. And you know what happened? One of the diaphragms on one of the pumps blew up. And so in Salt Lake City, or below Salt Lake City, I think it was Nephi or something, we had to get a new carburetor. Okay.
It's somewhat pressure dependent because in case some particles there, well, some stuck in the road. I
Well,
and
will pins make it
metering rods get tarnished.
Well,
Buy an adapter and replace it with a Holly.
Yeah, I know. That's only $600. If somebody wants to send me one, sweet. But that's what I'll have to do otherwise. And right now, that's looking like $600 in parts. I'd prefer not. Yep. And I don't have a problem with that concept. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law, the mechanic, sent me the link for the carburetor, the Holly 750. How many miles?
Yeah, good question.
Quite a bit. At least one rebuild. I have no idea how many miles it had before we bought it, but the car was 30 years old. The truck was 30 years old before then. If somebody has an appropriate carburetor, and if it's a Holly, an adapter, and wants to send it to me, I'll be happy to do. I'm going to say right now, it's just one of those things that's kind of annoying. It's just a little piece of dirt somewhere.
Yeah, the operative phrase there, Shane, is if you know what you're swing.
It's my understanding it's easier to adjust to Holly, but the Quadrajet stays adjusted better. Okay? That's the way it's been explained to me. They're not as easy to
check the fuel filter and pump. Yeah, multiple fuel filters.
If I get it up to where I can cut in the secondaries, all of a sudden I got, instead of it runs normally under normal conditions reasonably well. But if I'm running under high load and I get that below 2000 RPM, where it's just the primary circuits, I mean, it literally starts dying. But if I can keep it over 2000, to where when I put my foot into it, the secondaries kick in, it runs. So it can't be fuel availability, because once those secondaries opened up, if it was fuel availability, it would just die.
Honey Bunny, can you send that link by an email, please?
Right there. If you click on it, it'll...
You're forgetting.
Okay, yeah. But anyhow, so...
Acetylene tip torch cleaners work good to clean out jets. Careful with the home mount.
Well, I was thinking more of just unscrewing the jet if I needed to.
Dying equals fuel filter.
It does until you get twice the airflow through it and it works better. Yes, dying equals fuel filter. I know exactly what that's like. And when you put your foot in it, it gets worse. That's fuel starvation. It's not fuel starvation in terms of when it's dying, I open the secondaries, I got power again. Okay? So if I double the airflow, if it was fuel starvation, it would die.
Anybody says Lars probably has one.
Could be. But anyhow.
I don't know. He lost a lot of stuff in the fires.
I say, it clearly is a fuel starvation-like thing, but it doesn't starve for fuel when I got all 4 barrels operating.
And it doesn't do it when you're not under heavy load.
Well, that would be a fuel restriction. I don't know if you remember, but when we were heading to Missoula that one time, it was crapping out. And it's like, it just isn't going to go over 55. That was the fuel pump or the fuel filter.
Could be a vacuum leak. That's something we haven't started looking at yet.
Yeah, I've checked for vacuum leaks. No vacuum leaks noted. And again, you open up the secondaries. Or if it was a vacuum leak, it would generally be even worse at lower speeds. I mean, like at idle and stuff like that. And that's not happening.
It's just very odd. Fuel filter hose collapsed. It have a metering air rod.
I don't know about the metering air ride, but I know that if it was a fuel hose or a fuel filter...
Mr. Virtue says, how's the idle?
Fine.
And Honey says, check for other potential issues, lack of sparking.
Again, is that going to suddenly go away when you kick in the secondaries?
Well, David, we can't really drive like hell on a dirt road while we're towing a heavy trailer.
Yeah, I say there's certain things that, yeah.
That's when this is happening.
Right now, I'm manually downshifting to keep the RPMs up and stuff. But yeah. Yeah, that's not what's going on, Honey Bunny. Again, it's running normally, except it's acting like it's starving at intermediate to moderate when only the primaries are operating, not when the secondaries open up. Already did, P-Man. Already done.
Float level.
Well, I've had it rebuilt once, and it didn't change anything. But the best carburetor guy in town, and so it's like, yeah, there's a piece of junk in there. I took it back to him, and all he did was adjust when the secondaries come on, which helped. But yeah, basic spark plug change, not the problem, Mr. Virtue. Again, I know...
HDI distributor advanced.
Okay. High energy ignition. High voltage. Yeah, that's what it's got. Okay. Oh, I'm sure you could, honey. I've never rebuilt a carburetor before. That's why I'm like, if I had a little experience with this,
It
if
would be good.
Lauren wasn't busy running 18 hours a day right now.
Power valve leak or toast on.
I don't know about the power valve. Is that on a quadrajet or is that on a poly? Okay.
Shane says, I don't think it's much. It won't take long to figure it out if I was there either. We see,
Yeah.
all y'all need to take a vacation in Helena, Montana. That's all.
One of the primaries is plugged. Okay, partially plugged. Pretty simple. The thing is, how do I fix it? I spent $200 taking it to the carb guy. He worked on it, gave it back. It was clean. He'd cleaned it and stuff. Okay. That's what I thought, honey bunny. And, but it was doing the same thing. It's like, okay, the guy didn't realize that in one of them passages is a piece of junk that he didn't get out.
Is there gas coming out around the accelerator pump on
No.
top of the carb?
No.
Year, make, and model, it's a 1976 Chevy K20 pickup truck. Plugs.
Yeah. With the quadrajet.
With a rebuilt 350.
Yeah. That's it. I have no clue what, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I do a job and somebody says, hey, it's not working, I'm going to fix it. Okay. He didn't seem very motivated to fix it.
Well, he didn't even want to take it out and test drive it to see what was going on.
Yeah. It's like, come on. So I said, I don't want to take it back to him for the third time and pay him more money because he didn't seem to know what to do his job. I described exactly why, what it was doing. And like, okay, you got a primary plugged somewhere. Did he pull the jets, blow things out and look to see how much is coming out of each as he's blowing it? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he didn't,
Send me the address, ship in 1985 quadrant.
Okay. So, okay, P-Man. That's it. It's just one of those things it's a little piece like this somewhere in there. I put sea foam through it to try and clear out any crud. And I pulled the idle screws out and blew through there to try and clear stuff out. Nothing worked. So, I mean, it's jammed pretty good. But anyhow, thank you very much, P-Man. Let's see what else. Oh, we've pretty well identified the plant that was causing us trouble on the trail as an alder of some sort.
Yeah, a common alder.
Okay, Shane.
I'll wrap it in plastic wrap and ship it. Thank you very much, P-Man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Do you want me to ship you the old one back so you can rebuild it and use it, or whatever you want?
Yeah, we will be very happy to ship you our old one.
Yep.
And yeah, the picture that I put on the thumbnail tonight was the plant that we had to hack the heck out of while we were bushwhacking. Show off your arms, dude. Show off your arms.
This is what happens when an old geezer does a fair amount of bushwhacking. Thank you, P-Man. Yeah, it was a rough day. Okay.
Oh, it was something else.
And
we will not be throwing out the carb, honey bunny.
No, I'll just buy
I don't throw out anything.
I'll buy a rebuild kit and put it on the shelf. But anyhow.
Yeah, it was quite the off-road adventure making that hike the other day, I'll tell you that.
Well, we were gone for 9 hours. And total distance traveled probably in the neighborhood of 2 miles. The road up to the timbered shaft is about a 15% grade.
For the patch, I'd say a pick and shovel crossed over a gold pan that says Hard Rock University, with the Hard Rock above it and the university below it.
But anyhow, so just the grade itself is fairly steep. The first part of the thing is 300, 600, 900, 900 yards. No, but 900 feet? About 1,000 feet, I think it is, of side hill, along with an average climb of about 15%. Then we get to the road, which we took pictures on.
Our mascot is a mole wearing a miner's helmet.
Yeah, a mole. Yep.
You know.
Not the big star-snouted one, but just a little pointy snouted one. An
ordinary mole.
Yep.
Wearing a miner gear.
Yep.
That's the mascot.
Yep. But anyhow, so then we get to that road, and it was another couple hundred yards to the timbered shaft. Once we got there, because I knew this was going to be a long day, resupply was out of the question. So I brought extra water and food and stuff like that. We left the extra water and the climbing gear and everything at the timbered shaft, and from there we headed down the road to that other area that we see on the satellite.
Can't be a blind mole.
Why not?
Be mine.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to dig if you can't see.
You can smell the gold.
Shane says he's 99% sure it's the primary float level. Well, once we get it off, take it apart, we'll find out.
We can check. But anyhow, so we went and had to bushwhack about 200 plus yards to get to that one spot where we ate lunch. And that took us a couple hours because it was slow going. Plus, I was trying to clear a reasonable path so when we came back, it would be pretty quick.
And it's a good thing.
You know, I'll be happy to take the old one apart on video and stuff so we can see.
The miner's hat is a standard helmet. I actually like the vintage helmets that look like
silver.
Silver.
Yeah, I like silver. You know?
Yeah.
I have seen some in the Middle East and India. They do some really nice engraving on them, really filigree stuff.
I want one that looks like an old safari pith helmet, but it's silver, like old
I understand.
Miner's hat.
It was just an aside. And so anyhow, we got out there, ate lunch, saw one spot that looked like, there'd obviously been some digging. We looked around there a little bit, and only that one divot. Went down there, found obviously different rock, got a sample, came back up, and then I came on over to the timbered shaft and wandered around there for a little bit.
And I found a cabin.
Found the cabin.
Yes, an old safety hard hat. Exactly.
Yeah. And then there was an exploration trench up above the level where the slip face was above the timber shaft. And so he was wandering around out there looking and stuff while I got rigged and started digging the slot in the side of the hill above the timbered shaft. Got it cleaned down to bedrock, got some samples. I have not had a chance to crush and pan the samples yet.
Yeah, I found a collapsed cabin.
Yep. Not that I could see. It would be interesting to take a metal detector if you had a lot of time and that had excellent discrimination and see what you could find there. But there's nails. I mean, there's an old wood stove sitting in that cabin, you know.
Yeah, what's left of there was not enough left of it for me to get an age on it.
Yeah. But anyhow, so let's say we went up there, we got the samples. I still don't have the um, uh, results, the panning results from that.
Well, sadly, since it's on Forest Service land, honey bunny, the odds of being able to excavate anything are going to be low.
Yeah. But anyhow, at the bottom part of those divots, as you saw in the video, I was not able to excavate where I could find a mineralized zone. Okay. Oh, they really didn't have none of these. I've seen any square nails at. Have you? I've seen round nails.
No, we have not run into square nails yet. Nothing that old.
Yeah, round nails. Not sure how old the cabins are. There was work in there from about 1880 up to about 1950. So it's got a pretty long historical time where it could have come from. So anyhow,
Figure out why that cabin.
well, it's so someplace as I keep telling her, people back then didn't like to camp out in a tent in bear country for long periods of time. It's not ideal, you know. When you're surrounded by trees, and in many cases they're in your way, you just cut them down and stack them up. What the heck, you know? So that's what you do.
I would love to find some cool artifacts like bottles. So far, we haven't seen.
Yeah. And Gruber Ned Jardine asked me today, do we carry anything for bears? To which I told him, yes, we do. I have a 10 millimeter pistol. Eva carries bear spray. Okay. And so, yes, we're packing. Eva's much better at talking while we're wandering around than I am because I've been hunting for many, many years. And so my reflex is to walk relatively quietly through the wood, which is not the best thing to do for bears.
Yeah, so when we're separated, I'll be happily talking to myself and he keeps yelling in a very irritated voice, "What? What did you say?"
Yeah, because I presume she's trying to talk to me. Since she's talking about this loud, I kind of assume that she's trying to communicate with me.
Well, yeah, you talk nice and loud.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree. But anyhow, that's why. And then finally, on the list of stuff we have, the microscope that we were sent by the Central American Project.
Hold on 1 second. He will be right back.
I have no idea what the price is. I'm sure it's not terribly expensive just by the construction or whatever, but it's probably somewhere in the $50 to $100 range. It's a Carson Micro Flip, 100 to 250 high power pocket microscope, and it has a smartphone clip that goes on top. Now, this is actually a pretty good little microscope for certain applications. Especially good, in my opinion, for looking at like stuff in the bottom of a pan or crushed ore samples, something where you can lay it on a flat surface, put this on top, it's solid, and you can focus it. So, little one, if you can call up the picture. Here is some gold from the Central America project. And it's, I think we measured it down to about 400 mesh. Let me try this. Let me turn on the light and put it next to this.
Want me to show? Right.
One of the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one there.
Okay, this what we're talking
about. Those particles are in the neighborhood of a half a thousandth to maximum about 5 thousandths of an inch across, with the average being about 1 to 2 thousandths.
And bear in mind, those colors are not accurate to what they actually look like.
I agree completely. Those colors are not accurate. If anything, the precision with which you can see through this microscope is much better than that picture. Okay?
I think our plan is actually to keep this microscope at home, David. I don't think we'll be taking it out where it can get dirty. But yes, plastic bag is a good idea.
It also has an ultraviolet light for certain mineral exploration. So it's a very useful light for certain things. I mean, microscope. Unlike this one, it doesn't have a scale. So you can't measure the particles. It's got its minimum magnification is almost 3 times this, and it's pretty easy to use in terms of you can set it down on a flat surface and focus it fairly reliably. In terms of the clip to attach to a smartphone, I would consider that, kind of
that picture
marginal.
Was taken using my smartphone and that clip, and it was extremely marginal.
Yeah, that part doesn't work too well. With your eye, piece of cake. It gives good clarity, and I say I'm pretty happy. It's also got this weird little clip thing where if you have a slide, there's a spot here where you can actually put your slide in, and it goes like that.
I'll lower it a little.
Okay. So I don't have any slides, so it doesn't much matter. But yeah, it's not a bad little scope. It's it does make it easy to resolve things.
It is a really neat little device, with the exception of the fact that clip to attach it to.
Yeah, that doesn't work terribly well. Okay.
As you saw, the picture taken really.
Yeah,
my smartphone takes good pictures.
It's much better with your eyeball than what you're seeing in that picture. So I can recommend it for that thing. It's got a reasonable depth of field for a little microscope, but it's still not super great. But then that's the problem with little small microscopes. So I'd consider it a useful tool, primarily for looking at samples of slurry samples, things like that, crushed rock. So anyhow,
so a nice little gadget to put on your Christmas for all those friends who want to get the mine or something.
Yep. Anyhow, those are the things on the list. Does anyone have anything to bring up? Any questions or anything like that?
Yeah, come on, folks. Questions.
If Sarah's still there were certainly other heavy minerals, but none that really struck my eye as something I could identify. Okay? Again, I am not a geologist or a mineralogist. I'm a miner with some experience. Anyhow, so that's the situation there. And thanks a lot, P-Man, for the carburetor thing. We'll get that done. Then we can take the old one off and check a few of the things out. See what's going on there.
Other than that, we have not done much else. And Sarah's still here. Hi, Sarah.
Yep. Oh, Mr. Virtue, I like the Marvin the Martian thing too, by the way. Eva does a great Marvin the Martian.
No, basically, that was the way. That was basically the way our weekend. You know, we almost got rained on, but we did get rained on. We were flawed.
Yeah, in order to get cell reception, we have to go maybe half a mile on a graded road. It's dirt, but graded. And after we got back to camp, we took a little break, got a little something to drink, and I ate a sandwich.
David says, "Did you use a magnet on Brian's?"
No.
Sarah's, yes. We just magnets.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, that picture was not very representative at all. I mean, the quality of the photo taken through that little microscope absolutely sucks.
Yeah,
Right.
compared to the microscope itself, yes. The microscope gives you much better imaging to your eyeball than to the camcorder. I'm not camcorder. What do you call it? Smartphone. But anyhow.
Which kind of annoyed me because my phone takes really good.
Anyhow, we headed up the road to get cell phone reception. And it just barely started. Yep, there went that lead. Getting reception when it started to rain. Then it started to rain harder.
Started to rain with big, heavy, really cold drops that made me wonder if we were about to get hailed.
And I did my best to shield her by being the big, wide thing in front while I drove back to the camp. And she still got kind of wet. But it wasn't that cold, so it wasn't a big deal. Then later on, the storms kind of tapered off, and I was able to go back up by myself and get contact with the boys there and try and do all this stuff in my head. I
try to get him to use a magnet on every sample half the time.
If I can see the gold, that's what I'm looking for. You know, if I can get a good, clear indication of how much gold is in it, I've got my results. I don't need to use a magnet, so I generally don't. When I'm trying to clean up a gold con, that's a time for using a mag. Or sometimes it's kind of hard to see, especially if you got electrum and it's like, is that electrum or is that steel from the grinding circuit? Magnet it'll definitely eliminate any steel possibilities. But that's about it. And I should be starting. I need to look out on the front porch. I think I've got some samples, Montana bee or something, that I can do bottle rolls with thiosulfate. My plan is to take a sample, take 2 splits, and do 2 bottle rolls, one with Eco Goldex, one with thiosulfate. And that way I can see the results. Right now, I do not have a sample from down there. And therefore,
this is why we really need to find someplace around here that we've got access to where we can get some pyrite.
Doesn't matter if it isn't their pyrite con. Okay? It has to be the stuff that you're actually going to process. Otherwise, you can run complexities. They're working on it. The fact that it's a different country makes life substantially more complicated. So, I can do some stuff with ore that we have here that we have fairly well characterized, and I'm planning on comparing it to the Eco Goldex, and seeing what the kinetics are. You know, how fast does it dissolve it compared to the Eco Goldex, etc. And might even try some glycine just for the hell of it.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to try that. After all, we got
So we could have a side-by-side test of Eco Goldex, thiosulfate, and
Ricky
glycine.
C.
Hi, Ricky. So that'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it, Brian? Because the glycine definitely has good kinetics. Because Brian has tested it against side by side with Eco Goldex, and it was faster.
Well, one thing I want to do with the glycine once we start testing it is just for the fun of it. I want to take a bottle of it, something, put it out on the porch, lid off, to see if it attracts it.
You know what we could also do, little one? We could go down to the craft store there and get some gold foil. Hey, Brian, what kind of gold leaf did you get?
Yeah, what kind and where did you get it? Because I don't think the stuff they have down available locally at Hobby Shop is
Say, I don't know, but let's say I know that they make different kinds of gold leaf. Some have coatings on them, some are clean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not thinking that it's gold. Good
Edible gold leaf from Amazon. Okay.
Edible gold leaf? Amazon.
Could you give me a? Okay. Yeah, I really like the way you were testing, Brian.
The kind that did not have a copper.
Yeah. Okay. So, I say to me, that was a really elegant way of testing it, Brian, by just using gold leaf. That way you know you got something the same thickness, and by varying the parameters, you can visually see exactly what's going on. And like you say, it was fast. You can do a stopwatch and things like that. And so you can compare apples to oranges to grapefruits pretty easily. And so I can get going on that before the boys get me the sulfide samples from down there. So if you got time or whatever and it's easy, Brian, could you send me the link on that? If not, don't worry, I should be able to figure it out. But that way we can see how the thiosulfate works compared to everything else. The concerns I have with the glycine are the fact that it's basically a food product and it's sweet. I'm concerned that critters of all kinds, from bugs to birds to everything else, would want to drink it if it's exposed. Now, that's not a problem too much with a tank leech, but it is a problem if you got
I figured if we
pad.
Took a jar and we mixed some up and put it out on the porch.
We could certainly try that. So we have a number of tests here we can do, but the thiosulfate was in the test that Honey Bunny, and thank you for sending me that paper, Honey Bunny. That was very useful. The thiosulfate, which worked much better than thiourea, and therefore, that's what I honed in on right quick, because 40% recovery versus 100% recovery in 2 hours, that's a big difference. And with an alkaline leach, which is what the thiosulfate is, you can adjust the pH fairly easily with lime if you need to, although it appears from that paper that Honey Bunny sent me that they use ammonia in the pH adjustment range too. And so I'll have to get the copper sulfate here, not a problem. And then I appreciate it. I know everybody tries to help. What's the average temp at the Central America mine? Probably in the 80 to 90 degree Fahrenheit range, Brian. It's Central America, and the elevation isn't that high.
It's soaking wet and body temperature.
Yeah, it's probably like, Florida in the summertime. But say we can do side-by-side tests of all three. Those would come in handy. I'm not that familiar with the chemistry, Honey Bunny, but part of the issue with the thiosulfate is that the copper amine complex is a catalyst to put the gold into solution. So the solution, as I recall from memory, they added the ammonium nitrate, not ammonia water, which is, I believe they call it ammonium hydroxide, basically just ammonia water, to a pH of about 11, I think it was. And then they added the sulfate and copper sulfate. The copper sulfate was in very small quantities just to provide the copper ions, which, as I recall, exchange quickly with the sulfate to make a copper amine complex, which is what catalyzes the dissolution of the gold.
Brian, did you test the oxygen?
Yeah. So, I say these are the sort of things. I know you sent me your formula there, Brian. I think it's in my email. How much OxyClean, how much glycine and stuff. Pretty sure I've got the precise thing that I saved there. And but yeah, that'd be good to do. Like we could set up a whole day where we just get out the stir and do it. So that's going to be an interesting set of tests there. Should make a great video. If you see something interesting, make sure you send it to my email also, Honey Bunny. But yeah, we'll be testing different lixiviants. And then when I get the sample from Central America, I can start working on that. Brian's method.
We got a little hot plate that's got a magnetic widget in it that stirs things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hot plate with a magnetic stirrer in it.
At the moment, I don't have a centrifuge in my life. It's not one that works in any viable.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
We still have not found any ore that is highly profitable to process at this point in time. We're going to be testing some of the dumps over at Montana B. Because dumps are much easier to mine, the overall cost is lower.
The Goldex the Eco Goldex works, but we're always looking for other non-toxic options that work better.
Well, the problem with the Goldex in the state of Montana
And
is that, well, not just that. It's no better than cyanide regulatory wise because it has a ferrocyanide complex in it. Apparently, part of the methodology of operation is that the ferrocyanide complex has a small dissociation content, so you do get some free cyanide when you have a ferrocyanide, and it's that free cyanide that actually binds with the gold. The problem is the regulators in the state of Montana say if you got carbon triply bonded to a nitrogen, that's a cyanide. That's all we care about. It's cyanide. It doesn't matter if it's sodium cyanide, potassium ferrocyanide, whatever. It's a cyanide, and it will be regulated as a cyanide
we're
no matter
to get that
what the toxicity. Now, there are some people trying to get the ban on cyanide
and
removed.
The other thing
we'll
is it never hurts to have more non-toxic options that may be better available elsewhere. Like thiosulfate is thiosulfate's available all kinds of glycine's a food additive.
Yeah.
How hard is it to find? Well, it depends. I mean, when you're in the middle of nowhere, as it is, look at the problem we have getting to that. We have to order it from Canada.
Half the cost is shipping.
Yeah.
Haven't done any bromine testing. I have no idea in terms of toxicity. Probably intermediate. Just haven't. I haven't seen anybody using a bromine leaching solution on an industrial scale. It works fine laboratory scale. I presume when you start scaling up, it's a matter of cost, or you're suddenly outgassing sufficient free bromine to be a problem. I'm not sure. Nobody has used it that I've seen.
And the other thing we're looking at is if they do need to get some sort of bleach, other than the very scary, and it really is scary, way that they're using cyanide down there in Central America. One of their big selling points is they want to bring in non-toxic technology.
Yeah.
And so
Eco Goldex is pretty pricey.
It may
thiosulfate should be a lot cheaper than Eco Goldex.
It may also be a lot easier to.
Hey, could I talk a minute? Another thing, both the Eco Goldex and cyanide form a gold cyanide complex. I suspect the Eco Goldex also does a gold sulfur complex. Don't know. I think there's a thio complex in there also. I'm kind of guessing at this point, but it seems like there's two different chemistries working in parallel. One issue that can be very important, if you have an ore that contains carbon, which is not extraordinarily uncommon. It's not the usual, but it's not extraordinarily uncommon. That carbon can absorb the gold cyanide complex from the solution. So basically, if you take one of these, as they call them, carbonaceous ores, and try and treat it with cyanide, all you do is dissolve the gold, turn it into a gold cyanide complex, and then it sticks to the carbon in the ore and you lose it forever. It just becomes bound up in a totally different form, but it's still just stuck, distributed through the ore. Therefore, if you have a carbonaceous ore, you either have to get rid of the carbon, which is in large scale done by giant autoclaves and stuff. Okay. Yeah, exactly, David. But the other way is to use a thiosulfate leach, because the thio complex does not significantly stick to carbon. And therefore, you can use a thiosulfate leach. You don't have to oxidize your ore, and you can get the gold out of the ore with a thiosulfate leach. So you've got a couple of situations. One, toxicity and regulatory stuff. The stuff we got was for neutralizing the chlorine in swimming pools. If you get too much chlorine in the swimming pool, you throw some thiosulfate in there, and that neutralizes the excess chlorine. So evidently, if you can swim in it, it's probably not that toxic, or at least not considered that toxic. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, the way they handle science down in Central America, very.
Yep. And if you have a carbonaceous ore, you can't use cyanide anyway without some other stuff. What have you stumbled onto? This is kind of cool. Okay. This is Hard Rock University. I've been doing this 8 or 9 years. I'm a miner that's kind of smart and like to learn new things and stuff. So this is a discussion. This is our weekly discussion on how to get precious metals from rock, the mining, the processing, things like this. And for example, Sarah sent us a sample of rocks from her stuff, crushed them up, panned them, gave her some results which were encouraging. So she is now going to spend more effort doing that. What we like to do here is give people the knowledge to prospect or operate a hard rock gold mining on a micro scale.
Without getting scammed by yo-yos that sell fake claims on Craigslist.
That is the tinfoil hat goddess off screen.
Ah.
But anyhow, so that's what we do, EDC. And this particular episode, so to speak, we were talking about a new carburetor for my truck. I'm doing some consulting work on a project in Central America, and we were discussing kind of the progress on that here so that people can kind of follow along. We identified a plant that was on the trail that we were on this weekend that was being a real pain in the stuff. We had to go bushwhacking. Did a review of this telescope, microscope that given, plus a little other discussion. So that's what we do here. If you ever have any questions on micro scale hard rock gold mining or any gold mining, this is a good place to ask, or you can ask on any of my videos there. You can comment, and I deliberately have not monetized my channel. I like mining. I don't like playing algorithms. Nothing wrong with playing algorithms. Not my thing. I'm retired, 69 years old. I have a wife that loves me and likes to go out in the country also. And I don't want to mess up the interesting and fun life we have by getting chained to a computer. A lot of people wind up being owned by their stuff instead of owning their stuff. Okay? There's a fairly well-known guy, Dan Hurd, got a big YouTube channel, 4 million. I don't know what it is. He's got a lot of subscribers and stuff, and very successful on YouTube. And just earlier this year, he says, "I got to back off, man. The pace is just ruining my life." And so that's it. On this discussion we have once a week, 6 o'clock Montana time on Mondays. Sometimes we have some very knowledgeable people. We have a gentleman named Rock. Well, his nom de rock is Rock Butcher. He's a professional exploration geologist or geochemist, maybe? I don't know. But anyhow, he's been out in the field for the last 35 years. We have other really smart people. We literally have a rocket scientist. I don't know how many of you guys know, but Lars works at JPL.
Dan Hurd is up there in Canada.
Yeah, Canuckistan.
He's not far over our border.
Yep. So, and who else was I thinking? Oh, Chris Georgie. He's just a really smart dude. He made his. I think he basically became successful in computers and software and things like that, but he's just knows a whole bunch about a whole bunch.
Dan Hurd's up there in Canada.
Yep. So
he had some really nice planes.
Oh, sorry, David. Isn't that world-renowned geologist? That's a joke that Rock Butcher says. And yeah, we're in Helena, Montana.
Well, we know that Rock Butcher is highly regarded internationally.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's what we do.
Yeah. And he may already.
And that's what you have stumbled into. Are you still there? I am curious.
Well, if EDC is still there, he can always ask us questions regarding gold and precious metals.
But anyhow, so that's what you stumbled into. Anyone else got any questions or subjects to discuss?
Well,
He's going to look up.
Holiday Inn.
Whoa, dangerous, man.
Yeah, these days.
I've heard what that can do. Yeah.
Well, actually, there's been a great kerfuffle going on online lately. People discussing the Indian hotel cartel.
Oh.
Wait.
Yeah, I think Honey Bunny had to take some pain medication. Anyhow, I don't see him coming back on, so I presume he flicked in and flicked out.
Well, yeah, since somebody takes forever to talk about gold. Speaking of talking about gold, gold is currently at $33.09. Silver was at $38.04.
I think it's Cambodia, not Laos.
Well,
Honey Bunny.
You never know with Laos.
Is that something that just started up in the last day or two? And yeah, probably Honey Bunny. And
next time, just say we're gold miners.
Yeah.
All
whatever. If he's not that interested, that's fine.
Flotation is pretty cool. I want a chance to try some.
Yeah, I
want a chance to try it on.
I'd like to try some stuff too. Oh, another thing I noticed, if you remember on that picture that you saw through the microscope, the gold itself was balled up. Okay? And that was pretty spherical. Now, my question, and I don't know the answer, is how well do those little spheres work on a Whiffley table? Because they might be a problem. If you're doing the table thingy, maybe they can be washed down sideways easier than if they were flakes or chunks or irregular shapes. Not sure. Yeah, flotation works good as stuff.
Honey Bunny, they went through a ball mill after going through what, a hammer mill?
Yeah. The hammer mill was just secondary crushing, basically.
Yeah.
Jaw, hammer, ball mill. But my thought was, on the other hand, a sphere is excellent in terms of recovery for like this VDR matting we've got.
We're actually not very sure, David. We're not sure exactly what's going on with it. It's something we noticed. It may have just been an artifact of the material.
I think it's the milling process itself. Some of them are pretty darn round.
Well, I would love to learn more about flotation.
Now, you can take a look at Red Wing Mine's videos, and you can see his stuff gets flaked out in his ball mill, So but it's also a lot coarser. So it may be a combination of particle size and the mill.
Red Wing's got pretty
Yeah,
sure.
Ricky, flotation is incredibly versatile. Um, and I'd like to learn more about it, but so far I haven't had a circumstance where I need to know, so I've been busy doing other stuff. But yeah, it's amazingly specific at times. You can do some really strange stuff. But my thought is it's entirely possible that by putting in a sluice, one could get at least as good a recoveries as those guys are getting with tables. And a sluice is vastly simpler, cheaper, and easier to operate than a table. So it's an interesting thought.
It certainly would have helped if dealing they were dealing with not exist. Don't they?
Yeah. So I'm probably going to suggest they try a sluice ahead of one of the tables to see what happens. Okay. My suspicion is they're going to get at least as good a recovery as they are right now with a whole lot less effort. Because right now, I think their throughput is on the order of 1 to 2 tons an hour, and we can process a tenth of a ton an hour easily in a 6-inch wide sluice with the VDR matting. You know? So I think you like cables okay? I'm missing something here, Ricky. It could be also, Brian. I'm not sure how bad that would be with the spheres, honey bunny. I'm sure it would be a whole lot less likely to occur than with spheres. So I'm not sure. Oh, you must be using voice to text. Oh, well, no. Yeah, just a single C to a T. Let me look on the keyboard here. That was a pretty bad strike if that was on the keyboard. Probably voice to text. Yeah, I suspect so too, Ricky. I'm suspicious that people are kind of psychologically wedded to tables. And, that's the way it's done. When in reality, it's one of the ways it can be done. And so it's my suspicion that they might be able to get an enhanced recovery. I don't know what would happen, for example, if you put a sluice in the stream between the ball mill output and the table distributor box. Sure be easy to find out. And look and see what happens on your tables. Because it might be the sort of thing where you can, the sluice is grabbing most of the gold, or at least the gravity gold. And then you watch the tables and you're catching your sulfides and stuff. And then all of a sudden you start seeing a gold line form. It's like, time to, change out the sluice matting. Might work out pretty good. I've heard that bowls work real well. I've never had any experience with them. My friend Jason, who did some work down in Central America, said they worked better than tables. You know? And So, Sarah, is that to solve the puzzle of how to get the gold? I don't know if that's voice to text or what. A sleuth box instead of a sluice box. Uh, I've been really happy with that. What do you call it? VDR matting. Blue Bull has real low throughputs, and it's, as I understand it, it's fairly precise in terms of you've got to classify it fairly tightly. You can't have a wide range of stuff. That's what Jason would agree with. They're more expensive, but the throughput is higher and the recovery is better. I've never used one myself, so I don't have an opinion. You know, that's what I heard, David. So, again, like everything else, it's going to depend a lot on your particular ore. I've never tried one, Ricky. Again, there's so many different ways of doing this that I've done mainly leaching. Hey, Rock, how's it going? We found VG in the core today. VG, not I'm not sure what that is. Uh, Rock. Yes, Senor Pedro. Uh, yeah. I would imagine a spiral would have to be pretty well classified. Okay. Oh, visible gold. Okay. You got visible gold in your cores? Sweet. Everyone caught it but me. Very nice indeed, Rock. Yeah, you get some rest, Rock. Now's the season for sleep because you don't get nearly enough of it. I agree, honey. That would be pretty good. Yep. Good night, Rock. Sleep tight. Yeah, Lauren's up there on the mountain supervising two drills 20 hours a day. He's not getting much sleep. We're going to be doing what we can to help him on the food department so that he can get food consistent with the diet his body needs and not have to put forth virtually any effort and can, pack a lunch in a minute. So we're going to be working on that tomorrow. We should have the first shipment ready by tomorrow evening. He'll be into town, or Clara will be headed out there sometime, probably Wednesday through Thursday with parts. So that's our goal to get him taken care of because he's he's working some ridiculous hours at times, and he's not 25 years old anymore, just like me. I couldn't keep up with him, not what he's doing. I wish I could be helpful up there so I could take some of the load off of him, but he's doing a lot more technical stuff, and therefore I really can't be that terribly helpful. So I'll see if I can help by just getting him food. something that's tasty for his standards. Basically, he likes really spicy food. So it's going to be like thermonuclear sausage and thermonuclear sauerkraut. And that way he can just snack on that stuff when he doesn't have time. Keep those calories going in and not a lot of carbohydrate. So that's our evil plan. Anyhow, so that's kind of what's going on here.
And I have pockets.
Yes. Apparently at Walmart right now. Was this in the women's department?
No, men's.
Men's.
I started cross-dressing. There's no better way to get pockets. And, Honey Bunny, everybody should have chicken leg quarters at this point because I can frequently get them here for $6.95 for a 10-pound bag.
Hey, Mr.
$7.95
Lodak.
is the regular price. Hi, Mr. Lodak.
Yeah, she's got cargo pants now, and she's very happy with them.
Oh, yes. You may have noticed in the video we posted, not only was I wearing a hunter's vest with many pockets, but I also had my backpack and cargo pants with pockets.
So she was profligate in the pocket department.
Well, you have to. I mean, we all know by now what shit we like. Because women's fashion designers are psychotic.
Anyhow, yes, and I can attest. She's correct. You buy women's pants, the pockets will be this deep. Distance. I don't dislike cargo pants. Not my preference. I don't know. I hear your gas is up around $8 a gallon now, Sarah. But we can get chicken livers for about 80 cents a pound. And then I can bake them to a nice crispy thing. And they're pretty good for taking out in the field too. Levi's 501. That's generally what I use is denims. I don't really care that much about big buffering off. No. I used to wear BDUs at times. It was pretty easy to get down there in Tucson, not up here.
I will wear BDUs when I can find them at the thrift shop and they are small enough for me to wear. I am so short that a whole lot of clothes don't fit me anyway. No clue, Mr. Lodak. Not me.
Okay. I think we got everything talked out. Does anyone have any last stuff to address here, or else we'll just call it a night and get rid of all this? Apparently, there's some issues.
Yeah. I'm seeing plenty. Nothing showing here now.
Yeah.
There was a note.
Well, that's because that's the feed you're sending to YouTube.
Well, no, there was a little notice that showed up in the studio over here for about a second that said YouTube is not responding.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead and post, Honey Bunny. We'll wait until we see that to see if anyone else has a last second thing they got to bring up.
Good night, Shane. Good night, everybody. Good night, Sarah.
You're welcome, Sarah. And thanks, P.
Anytime
Appreciate it.
anybody wants to send any rocks, my guest.
Okay. Happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.
Happy prospecting and keep it safe out there, folks. Good night.